Good evening, everyone. Welcome to everyone, let's make sure that we are on mute. If we are not speaking, and the only person speaking right now should be the chair. All right, so welcome everyone to the LPC Executive Committee meeting for Monday, July 15th, 2024, scheduled for 7 p.m. I will go ahead and call the meeting to order at 7:11, that's nice, 7:11 p.m. If the secretary would be so kind as to call the roll when he is ready.
Okay, all right, we'll start with Mr. Malagon.
Present.
Mr. Alstad.
Here.
Mr. Edgar is present. Ms. Hallisey.
Present.
Ms. Stump.
Here.
Mr. Dean.
Here.
Mr. Brown.
I'm here.
Mr. Byrd. I think he's here.
He should be here. I thought I saw him earlier. Maybe not yet.
Okay.
Someone could ping him if they have an opportunity, and Mr. Apostolopoulos, just shoot him a quick text or a ping.
Mr. Hardwig.
Present.
Mr. Nichols. Mr. Strachan.
Present.
Mr. Sullivan.
I am present.
Mr. Cardin. And Mr. Apostle. Oh, you are here. Okay, great. And Mr. Apostolopoulos is not here yet, I believe. Okay.
Okay. So Mr. Cardin, as first alternate, will sit for the at-large vacancy. Oh, and Mr. Byrd is coming into the meeting right now. He is joining us at 7:12. Okay, fantastic. So how many seated members do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay, fantastic. All right. So moving on to the next item on the agenda, I did send an updated agenda earlier today, which includes the legislative committee report, perhaps action that's being taken. We have the chair of the legislative committee joining us, and I will allow her to speak, assuming that there's no objection at that time. So is there any objection to, I guess at this point, assuming that there's no additions that want to be made, we can go ahead and I would entertain motions to adopt the agenda as submitted earlier today.
I move to adopt the agenda.
All right, Mr. Brown moves to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Strachan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. Is there any objection to the adoption of the agenda? Hearing none, the agenda is adopted. Excellent. So we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the approval of the August 19th, 2024 Executive Committee minutes. I'm sure everyone got a chance to take a look at them. I believe it was a very short, they were very short meeting minutes. Oh, hold on, sorry, give me just a minute here. Something is on with my audio, there we go. Okay, so I will now entertain a motion. I would now entertain a motion to approve the August 19th, 2024 XCOM meeting minutes. Not all at once, people.
Mr. Chair, do you mean June 19th? Because it says
Oh,
June 17th.
that's
And
what I
I'm-
meant. I'm
and I'm
sorry.
thinking, we haven't had that meeting yet.
That's right. I'm so sorry. That is my fault. I messed those two things up on the agenda. I will send the secretary a new copy of the agenda. I'm sorry, what were the meeting minutes for again? Well, the secretary, thank you for bringing that up. I was copying and pasting from a different agenda and I must have not changed that. What was the date for that?
June 17, 2024.
June 17, that's what I meant. Sorry. So June 17th, 2024, the executive committee meeting minutes for that meeting. I will go ahead now and entertain a motion to approve the June 17th, 2024 executive committee meeting minutes.
Motion.
All right, so moved by the NAC, Ms. Stump. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Strachan. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, we will move to a vote. Is there any objection to the adoption of the June 17th, 2024 Executive Committee meeting minutes? Hearing none, the minutes are approved. I wish I could use my being really tired as an excuse for that, but I sent this off. I will say that I did it because I was in a rush to get out since I got tagged into Freedom Fest stuff at the last minute. So that's my excuse for that one. I can't use fatigue. That's going to be this meeting. So anyway, all right. Moving on to the next item on the agenda, we have a legislative committee report potential action. So our chair for the legislative committee is Dr. Mary Beth Yuskevich, who is here with us today, looking lovely and looks very recovered from medical procedures and all that. So that's good to see. Is there any objection to hearing from Dr. Yuskevich at this point, at this time? All right, hearing none. Oh, I did. I'm sorry. Someone just pinged me. Let's go back really quickly. I do apologize. I always skip this. Well, not always. I did make a mistake. Pardon me, Dr. Yuskevich. So we'll do this first. Public comment, I skipped over that. I did forget about that. My apologies. That I will chalk up to fatigue since I just got in about an hour and a half ago. Is there any public comment? We have 10 minutes total agendized for this, 2 minutes per comment. If you would like to give public comment, you can go ahead and use the emoji and the react button on the bottom right next to chat. You can go ahead and click on that and you can raise your hand if you wish to give public comment. You have up to 2 minutes. Please I will also time, but also time yourself so that I don't have to cut you off. All right, we have one person, Mr. Brown, Richard Brown. Please go ahead, sir.
Hello, how are you, Mr. Mulligan? It's been a while.
Very well. It's been a while.
It has, thank you. You look well, though. I just wanted to confirm with Mr. Alstead that I sent him an email with an opinion he had asked me for, but I was initially sending it to the wrong address. I just got a text message from him that he got it, but I did send him something to be distributed to the investigating committee and also to the entire executive committee. Just wanted to confirm that and to apologize for using what was apparently the wrong email address. That's all. Thank you.
No problem. Thank you so much, Mr. Brown. If the vice chair would be so kind as to send that out to the executive committee on the private list when he gets a chance, we may need to use that for we can look it over potentially before executive session as we get to that item on the agenda. And give me just a minute here. Yes, Mr. Cardin. I think the captions are done on your end. I don't think I can turn them on for you to be able to see them on my end. There is a Rachel that joined the room. Could you please unmute and identify yourself for the record, please?
Hey, Daddy, can you go fuck yourself? I'm just here to tell everyone how much we love each other. You need to stop that beard, man.
All right, so that person has been removed. So I'll send this out on the public list later. Unless there's a first and last name, we will not be putting people here. I do apologize for the profanity and the general unwellness of people. Give me just a minute while I just report the account. And okay, fantastic. All right, so is there any other further public comments? All right, hearing none, we will move to the item on the agenda that we left off on. Mr. Apostolopoulos has joined us at 7:20 p.m. and he will be seated in the other vacancy that we have, the other at-large vacancy that we have. So we should have 14 voting members if I'm correct there. Yes, thank you, Mr. Sullivan. Some might say that that's irrational and repugnant. So, all right. I can change, let me just do that really quickly before we get to Dr. Yuskevich. Give me just a minute.
You don't have to say that.
Here are some Oh, I do though. I do. I refuse not to. You should hear what I call the vice chair, so I have to cancel it out with some respectful titles here and there. All right. Fantastic. Okay. So going back to that item, we'll go ahead and is there any objection from hearing from the legislative committee chair so she can give us some updates and some potential action that we as the executive committee may need to take? Hearing none. All right, we will go ahead and, oh, Mr. Jacobs, would you be so kind as to remind me what it should read, what your name should read? I can go ahead and make that adjustment now.
RP. CPP.
Oh, it's RP, that's right. That's right, let me do that really quickly. RP, CPP. Yeah, I don't know why Zoom doesn't let people change their names, but there we go. I have made the correction. Fantastic. Okay, so I've made those corrections. Now, Dr. Yuskevich, you have the floor, please. There's no objection to hearing from you, so have at it.
Good evening. Thank you for allowing me to speak. I was asked to present some of our initial requests for action items regarding Assembly Bill SB 1081. Let me just give a little preface. So in our initial meetings over the last few times, we've decided that it would be worthwhile to try to put out an email blast to people in LPCA to take action and give dates of the time or what committee and the members that need to be called and what to say. I'm sure you've seen that in different ways when you've gotten requests from other places, but we feel it would be prudent for us to try to do that at least once a month if we could. Of course, there's all kinds of hurdles as far as where the bill is along the way. Obviously, the earlier in committee, the better. This one that we're going to try to take action on is probably a little bit later on. It's in appropriations, but we feel that it's worthwhile to give it our first go. And in fact, has been put out when we initially tried to stop it in committee, but it was voted on nonetheless. With that said, we do know that there's other presenting. The main legislation we'd like to help work with is the Defend the Guard legislation. But with that said, I don't think that it would be worth our time in the future to work with new bills rather than taking action on bills that are already being pushed forth and probably most of the time opposing them. So 1081 is the bill that asks for the DMV, to register all males between the ages of 18 and 26 when they go for their driver's license to be renewed, to be automatically registered with the Special Selective Services. Now, the way that's presented is that many other states do it already, so why shouldn't we? They define that there is an opt-out clause. I will put that in there. But it seems that it is an overreach and also a costly venture, is that it says there's an unknown amount of cost to the DMV that they hope to recover from the federal government. With that said, it's also more possibilities of using this information against those folks who would be affected. So what we would initially ask is that we have your permission to take action on this and put out a statewide effort, which could be shared with obviously other people's groups. You know, if somebody wanted to put it on their Facebook or what have you. We also would like to put it on maybe Discord for the LPCA. So these are sort of the steps we'd like to have in the future for every bill. And our only concern is that this bill being an appropriations, it's supposed to be voted on was supposed to be voted on in July, but it was held. I will mention that at the end, when it shows objections or those opposing the bill, LPCA is not on there, but ACLU is on there for the California Immigrant Policy Center, because they probably don't want immigrants to, because at this point, if you do register for a card, you can be put in this selective service. obviously conscious objectors and so forth. So there's many on the list that are opposed, and only the American Legion and AMVETS and the Military Officers Association of California chapters are on there as support. But that won't stop them for voting for this, I think. So this is a good trial run, I think, to put this out. And then if we could get some kind of idea of how we can get permission in a monthly future, so we don't have to come in here every month and ask you guys for your approval, that would be great. So number one, is it okay to take action for this? And number two, is there a possibility you guys could discuss how maybe to allow us to take action in the future with maybe a interface with Adrian or something like that? And Adrian has mentioned that he could email blast when we do have the appropriate form to send out.
Okay, so just to make sure I understand the ask here, so the ask from the legislative committee is that we not support SB 1081, that we join in opposition to this.
Yes.
So that would require a vote. And just as a reminder to everybody really quickly, and perhaps the legislative committee chair isn't aware, so this was the one that Mr. Dean, I believe, wrote something up for. I went to Sacramento in person to go speak out against this bill in my capacity as LPCA chair. Unfortunately, if everyone remembers the story, I won't go into it again, but it didn't happen because you guys will be shocked to find out that government is not particularly efficient, and we didn't actually end up getting to this. And public comment, actually, there were some other things on the docket apparently for this particular committee meeting, and this one got completely just pushed out. And the public comment that was able to be given was limited to simply stating your name, what organization you were with, and whether you opposed or were in favor of said bill. So you couldn't even give actual public comment. It was just that. And so that was that. It wasn't funny at the time, but the adventure is kind of funny now. It did result in a lot of drinking while I was in Sacramento, because I had to do something since I was already out there. I know you're all shocked to hear that I would do such a thing, but you know, it is what it is. So I think, and I will say our parliamentarian isn't here, but if either the secretary or the vice chair want to chime in, or even Mr. Jacobs wants to chime in here, we have to, if it's a different bill every time, we do have a recurring meeting. So it's the third Monday of every month we have it. If we have to call a special meeting just to vote for an endorsement of a particular bill or an opposition to a bill, just to make it a public stance, we will have to do it that way. There's really no way around it. But as far as the email blast, Discord, anything that once that's done, so if it's going to be a habitual thing, like if we're going to stick with this bill for the time being, and this is going to be updates that we give, and you want to type something up and just have me do the email blast and through Neon, put it in Discord, at which point it would go to our comms director, Miss Stump, all of that stuff. That's not a problem. I can fully do that once we have either formally opposed or supported a particular bill. So there's no way around doing it. If we have to do it each individual time, that's part of doing the work. It is what it is, and that's fine. You can just give us a heads up ahead of time. If you can't join us for a meeting and you just want to give us a quick TLDR on this particular bill, send us some information as the XCOM, then we can just pass a quick motion or have a quick meeting if we have to, and then go forward that way. But that was my understanding after we had our conversation just a few days ago via phone. So what we can do then is, and if you want to reach out, so what I was getting at with the story that I didn't go into is that Mr. Dean did write up something that was going to be presumably for 2-minute public comment, and he did send it to me. I don't have it readily available. I'm sure Mr. Dean does. So if you wanted to send that to you, and maybe we could put that in an email to, or it could be part of, and you can kind of craft it however you want as far as the legislative committee is concerned, or if you have your own thing that you want to do, that's absolutely fine. But that's the way that we would be able to go about it moving forward. So we could make a motion before this agenda item is done to formally oppose this bill, which I believe that the entire XCOM is already in favor of opposing, given the fact that we have already this was something that we already talked about once upon a time that just didn't come to fruition. So what I can, if does anyone have any questions for the good doctor before I guess we move forward with this? I see some things in the comments, but does anyone have any questions or comments regarding this agenda item? Would everyone know what they're voting on should a motion be made? Okay. Dr. Yuskevich, would you like to say anything else in support of the opposition? This is a funny way to say it, but in support of our opposition to this bill, or anything else that you would like to add before a motion is crafted?
No, thank you.
Okay, and it looks like Mr. Dean has put the comment that he drew up and crafted so well for me in the comment section. So if you wanted to take a look at that, copy and paste. So I will go ahead and say, what's the best way to do this? So I guess I would move that the LPCA officially oppose SB 1081. Is there a second?
Second.
Seconded by Mr. Strachan. Is there any further discussion on this topic? Hearing none, we'll move to a vote. Just because it is regarding a state bill, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote for this one. Whenever the secretary is ready.
Okay. Oh, great. All right. We'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Ms. Stump,
Yes.
Dean,
Yes.
I don't know.
Yes.
There was something crumbling up. I'm not sure if anybody heard me. Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Hartwig, Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Carden,
Yes.
and Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Yes.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the vote is 13-000.
The chair will vote aye. This motion passes unanimously. So the Libertarian Party of California is officially opposed to SB 1081. If the secretary would be so kind to copy and paste Ms. Brierly's comment there, I think that could be of use for us. I can do a little bit of research on that. I think that would be good for us to know. Thank you, Ms. Brierly, for throwing that in there. Fantastic. Well, there you go, Dr. Yuskevich. So what we can do then is when you're ready to send, when you have something that you'd like me to send out an email for, I can craft it, send you the draft really quickly so that you can look it over, make sure everything is good. Then you can connect with Ms. Stump to do a similar statement and make sure it's on Discord. We can put it on all of our social media and get that underway and make it very clear that we oppose this bill and why, and give people a little bit of knowledge, do some libertarianism teaching stuff. I guess I'm very tired. Sorry, that was not the most eloquent way to say that.
It doesn't slow you down though, Adrian. You should talk faster. Did you say to send it out to you after we were done composing it?
Yeah, when you're ready, just go ahead and send it to chair@ca.lp.org. I'll craft something through the email list. And then, so the reason to give it to Ms. Stump as well, and I can send it to her once that's crafted so that it can go in the beacon, and then we can make sure that it's on Discord, social, Instagram, Twitter, all the stuffs.
Okay.
Fantastic. Well, thank you so much. I really appreciate the legislative committee taking this on.
Matthew has to ask.
Yes, I'm curious. I was just going to move to that. Mr. Hartwig, go ahead. You have the floor.
Is it about this?
I was just going to ask if there's a way for us to give someone like the Secretary of State or someone official notice of our opposition so that we can be listed amongst those opposing groups that Dr. Yuskevich was talking about.
Yes, I'm sure that there is. What I'm going to do is I will make a note of that. Actually, I'll make that an action item. I am going to call the SOS tomorrow anyway for a different matter, and I can go ahead and
Okay.
to be listed in opposition. There might be it might just be a simple letter or something, but I can ask opposition
So,
to, and then the other thing, oh, go ahead.
no, I'm just gonna work with Francisco and we'll have this, I mean, we sort of have a cheat already because of the previous action. So we should get that out to you pretty quickly.
Fantastic. And so since we're on this topic of legislative stuff right now, anyway, I'm going to send what appear to be the proposals that'll be on the ballot in November for some recommendations so that you guys can go over them. And some people have already started to ask. Oh, okay, perfect. So we'll connect on that as well.
Started to work on that, yes.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, so we can connect on that as well. I would like to get that done by the next meeting.
Yeah.
So what we have, just so that we can put something on our website, and as people start asking, which they already have, we can say we have an official position for or against X, Y, or Z. And then we can pass that along because people are asking what our official position is, and we don't have one yet. So fantastic.
That's very important. Okay, thank you. All right,
excellent. Thank you so much.
Have a good night.
Have a good night. Thank you so much. All righty. Moving on to the next item on the agenda.
No. Can I see you?
It is the investigatory committee report and potential recommended action. This is going to be held in executive session with 2 permitted guests. I'll say 3 permitted guests. So I will move to go into executive session with the executive committee, in addition to our parliamentarian, Ms. Karen Ann Harlow, should she be available, Mr. Jonathan Jacobs, and the Region 4 representative, Ms. Meredith Hayes, should she be able to join us. She got called at the last minute for a work thing. So that will be the motion. So executive committee and the 3 permitted guests that were just mentioned. Is there a second?
I second.
Seconded by Mr. Nichols. Is there any discussion? Is there any objection to going into executive session with the permitted guests? Hearing none, we will move into executive session. So for those of you that are new to how we do this, I will just remind everyone what I'll do is I will move all of the non-permitted guests into executive session. I'm sorry, into the waiting room. And then once we rise from executive session, I will go ahead and go back in. And so as I move everyone, well, I'll go ahead and I'll pause the recording right now. All right, we have risen from executive session. Like the delay there. My headphones just died, so if my audio sounds a little bit wonky, they are charging. And I'm using the MacBook speakers now. All right, we will move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the LPCA in-person XCOM meeting date, time, and location that is required per our bylaws. Mr. Dean, you have the floor.
I move that we hold the 2024 in-person executive committee meeting in Riverside on the 21st of September at Mind and Mill, a meeting venue in the city of Riverside.
September 21st. No, 1 second yet. Hold on. Everyone, hold on. Do you have a specific city, and do you have like an address for us that you can drop in the chat just so that it's all included in the motion?
Yes, that is the city of Riverside, California, and at a venue in Riverside called Mind and Mill, whose address I am finding right now.
Okay, and while you do that, is this a venue where is this a hotel?
It is a specific meeting venue in the city of Riverside. It is a block from 3 major hotels, 4 in fact, if you count the historic Mission Inn. So it is easy walking distance from hotels, and it's right in downtown Riverside. Very walkable.
Okay, fantastic. And so XCOM members in the Region 4 rep will be required to they'll make their own, assuming that they want lodging. Usually our meetings don't take that long. So I think the last one we knocked out in about 3 hours in Orange County. So should anyone want to make arrangements to spend the night and hang out and do whatever, they're welcome to do that. You guys can find your own arrangements. I will also note that Mr. Dean is graciously footing the bill for this and not seeking reimbursement from the party. So that saves us some money, and that's we're very grateful for Mr. Dean willing to do that here. Okay, so the motion in full then would read, Mr. Dean has moved to hold, oh, we need a time as well.
Oh, that would be, you would think that I would have this
Calls.
information to hand.
Stuff's at noon. So we could all sleep in.
That would be 9 a.m.
9 a.m. All right, well, Miss Stump tried. We should have night meetings. It could be an in-person like LPCA after dark, although that might have some different connotations. Although given
Well, I'm coming to that when we get to the discussion section.
Yeah, given Mr. Jonathan Jacobs after hours activities, I don't know, he might get a different impression than what was said there. Okay, so the motion in full is to move to have the 2024 LPCA in-person XCOM meeting September 21st at 9 a.m. in Riverside, California at Mind
and Mill.
You don't have to put that first, but Mind and Mill.
Mind and Mill.
3615 Main Street, Suite 103, Riverside, California, 92501. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, and as a reminder to everyone, we would not have our traditional standing meeting per the OPM resolution that passed. So what would happen in September, just so everyone is aware before this motion is seconded, is that the September meeting would be the quarterly meeting where all the reports are done, and people that, you know, the chairs of those respective committees that would call in and give those reports and do the whole bit would do so virtually. They could call in as they have in the past. It's something that traditionally was done. We would not have the September meeting, the virtual meeting in September, because we're having the in-person meeting. So this would take the place of any virtual meeting, just as a reminder to people. So, okay. That being said, is there a second for this motion?
Second.
Seconded by Ms. Stump. And now we are at the discussion portion. Mr. Dean.
All right. Well, I thought that it would be nice to get out into the Inland Empire because it's a part of California that is regularly forgotten. And it's a pleasantly fun county because there is no majority political party. Riverside County has pluralities of parties. There is no majority, which makes the political culture of Riverside kind of fun and a fun place to go meet. Mind and Mill has a relationship with local libertarian candidates, so they're happy to host us. So my thought is, and there's a potential plan here for kind of a full day of activity where the meeting could go 9 to 1 or so. And then I'm happy to take everybody for a quick walk through the Mission Inn, which is right next door and should be seen to be believed. It's just about the most libertarian building you've ever seen. And that's worth seeing if you're going to come to Riverside. And then I'd be happy to lead everybody to the funkiest taco joint you've ever seen right in downtown Riverside too, for lunch after the meeting. In the evening, I've got feelers out to the Oliver Termott campaign to have a fundraiser dinner. The exact event details are still very nebulous, but I've got a promising nibble on one or the other of them coming out to an event where we can potentially put some big donors in the room, and you know, put our money where our mouth is for the cause of liberty. I'm working with Boomer Shannon on that, who is an old hand at organizing this kind of an event. So more details on that will be forthcoming. But this is potentially a full day deal on the 21st of September, and I'd be happy to host everybody.
Fantastic. All right. So I will just add one thing. I also met with Mr. Shannon at Freedom Fest. We had a good meeting there. So I was well aware of this potential situation where it could be a joint fundraising opportunity. You mentioned this walk that you would take us on. Is it possible for someone to carry me? Do I have to walk? How would that work?
Well, you wouldn't be the first drunk person to be half carried through the Mission Inn, so it would probably be fine. Yeah. We might even find you a wheelchair. Riverside's an inclusive kind of a place like that.
As long as it's electronic, that's fine. Or someone's willing to push, I could deal with that. Let's the chat is wild. Okay. Okay, that works for me. Any questions for Mr. Dean? Comments, concerns? Oh, I have one question. So would you recommend, if there's people that want to, so obviously I'm in the Bay Area, a lot of the XCOM is in the Bay Area. Would you recommend, based on the tentative activities that of course you will let us know of in due time when such a time passes, would you recommend that we plan on staying somewhere local on Friday night or Saturday night if you had to pick one?
Well, with no real sense of how long a big fundraiser dinner might go, you would probably be better off planning to spend the night Saturday if you needed to. The closest convenient airport is Ontario, and I am happy to potentially pick people up at the airport if that's needed. Other XCOM members who are flying in, I could totally do that. Or I'll see if I can get a hold of my fellow IE homies to potentially run shuttle service to Ontario Airport for other members of the XCOM to save car rental fees. But again, there are 3 major hotels. I think there's a Marriott and a Hampton and a I don't think it's a Hilton badge, but I don't recall exactly which one, but all 3 of those are right downtown. They're a block from this place. So I think so.
Do they accept points as currency?
I have no idea. But if you do decide to drive down, I mentioned that, but if you do decide to drive, you could park your car at the hotel. You wouldn't have to worry about parking it any place else, because the venue, places where we'd be for most of the day, are walking distance from your hotel.
Okay, I'll just have to call my guy in the Cayman Islands and have those Hilton points transferred to me in time, so that should be fine. Excellent. Okay, so I'm not sure what Mr. Cardin's question is. So just to be clear, the suggestion was that if you had to choose, ideally, I would suspect, given that the meeting is at 9 a.m., it would probably be beneficial for anyone from out of town to perhaps consider staying both nights instead of making the drive down to Riverside super early in the morning. I mean, you're welcome to do whatever you want, but I'm inclined to agree with Mr. Dean. You never know how late libertarian shindigs will go. So it's probably better, instead of having a long drive on Saturday night, to do the Saturday night stay and then do that instead. So, oh, Mr. Apostolopoulos got kicked down. It's coming back in. Okay, so fantastic. Yeah, I'd probably be inclined to stay Friday night and Saturday night and do the whole bit, but very cool. Hopefully I will work with Mr. Graham Brown and make sure that, see if we can get the Mevo working. We're not required to record our meetings. It doesn't matter. We just kind of do it. We'll try to get it working. Last time it didn't really work in Orange County. The thing died and was being kind of a pain, but
Mind and Mill prides itself on being super techy. There's an Apple TV in the room. Their Wi-Fi is pretty killer. They should have everything that we need. The meeting room also has a little kitchen in the back, so if people want to, there's a little Keurig coffee maker or something back there, and we could put some Danish back there or something.
Very nice. Very cool. All right. Any further discussion on this motion before we go to a vote? All right, hearing none, let us go ahead and move to a roll call vote whenever the secretary is ready.
Okay. All right, we'll start with Mr. Alvstad.
Aye.
I will vote yes. Ms. Hallisey,
Yes.
Ms. Stump,
Yes.
Mr. Dean,
Yes.
Mr. Brown,
Aye.
Mr. Byrd,
Yes.
Mr. Hardwick,
Yes.
Mr. Nichols,
Yes.
Mr. Strachan,
Aye.
Mr. Sullivan,
Aye.
Mr. Cardin,
Aye.
and Mr. Apostolopoulos.
Aye.
Okay, Mr. Chair, the vote is 13-0-0-0.
The chair will vote aye. The motion passes unanimously. All right, we have a date and time, so put that in your calendars now. Again, the reminder is it is for Saturday, September 21st at 9 a.m. at Mind and Mill in Riverside, California. So plug that in, and an email will go out with more information to the membership about the potential fundraising opportunity, the joint fundraising opportunity with the POTUS campaign, and other opportunities that are happening there. Very curious to see what the most libertarian hotel Mr. Dean has ever seen looks like. I'm just picturing just lines on the floor, broken bottles everywhere, kind of like that one scene from Jesse's house in Breaking Bad is what I'm thinking. But very cool. I will inform the Region 4 rep about this as well, because she will be providing a report at that meeting, assuming that she's able to go in person, otherwise delivering it virtually. Excellent. Okay, so I'm going to skip over the convention time and location. Mr. Carden has been helping me with that. There's still a little bit more work that needs to be done. We will, I'll talk about when we're going to do that in just a minute. So we're going to skip over that agenda item. Fourth to last item on the agenda, just a reminder that the next standing virtual XCOM meeting is Monday. Oh, I got that date wrong because I did that. So I will send the secretary an updated. So let me just find the real date here because I did that wrong. Okay, so it will be August 19th. Monday, August 19th at 7 p.m. is the next standing virtual XCOM meeting. So again, that is August 19th at 7 p.m. For new business, I'll just quickly say there really isn't any. We might, as I mentioned, we might have to call a meeting to wrap up the investigatory committee report and potential recommended actions. There's a TBD on that. Obviously, proper notice will be given once that is wrapped up and finished, but we're looking at, hopefully we can knock that out by the end of the month. So we'll do it there. I don't want to really linger on this too long, but hopefully we'll be able to knock this out by the end of the month, at which point, hopefully it'll be a short meeting. It'll just be that on the agenda and potentially the annual convention date and time location. I believe we informally decided that everyone is okay with the last weekend in February. So the weekend after President's Day weekend, which would be, this is subject to availability, and that's one of the things that we're looking at now. And I thank Mr. Carden for helping me with all this. I know I've been out and about New Mexico for the LNC and then Freedom Fest, and I did selfishly take 4th of July weekend off. But we're looking at potentially the 22nd and the 23rd of February. So that would be the last weekend in February. So that's what we're looking at. It could potentially carry over to March 1st. We'll see how that plays out, but we're still looking at some of the times and some of the locations here in the Bay Area, which is what we decided on informally. But cool, I will keep you guys posted on that. And any action items? I don't believe so, not official ones. There's one that we talked about in executive session. So I think there's only one item left on the agenda. Who would care to do the honors?
I move to adjourn.
Second.
Mr. Sharp moves to adjourn. It is seconded by, was it Mr. Sullivan?
Mr. Brown.
Mr. Brown. All right. What can Brown do for you? He can second motions. This is a non-debatable motion, so we will go straight to a vote. Is there any objection to adjournment? All right. So hearing none, we will adjourn at 8:55 p.m. And stop the recording.